Hello again, Bashar, and thank you for your answers to my previous questions. You said in a previous transmission that the hybrid children sometimes like to play a game called Find the Portal, and I was wondering if we humans can also play this game, and what do we need to do to be a better energetic match to being able to play this game? And is any technology used to help play the game, and do the rules change as the children get older? Are there different rules for the younger children, the older children, the teenagers, and so on? Thank you very much. That is all. Good day.
The answer to all of that is yes. The idea, of course, again, as following the formula refines your senses to make you more sensitive to certain kinds of energies, thus making it easier for you to find the idea of the nexus of any vortex or portal. But yes, as you change, as you mature, as you develop, and including the hybrid children, the so-called rules of the game will also change because they develop more skills, more abilities, and can expand the idea of what the game is and what it contains. So if you want to call the rules something that changes with the maturation of any particular being because now you can do more, have more abilities, have more skills in the game, then yes, those rules will change.
Good day, Bashar.
Good day.
Shavai.
What would you like to discuss?
Concerning the frequency of the individuals who are inherently experiencing a negative portion of reality and consciousness. When an individual incarnates in order to be a representation of the so-called negative frequencies or properties of the overall collective experience, what is the best way for them to go about it? For instance, an individual who is to give the collective an experience of addiction or an experience of infatuation to the point of detriment. How is one to go about a life that is inherently negative?
The idea, of course, is that anything can be used in a negative or positive way. No matter what an individual does in their state of being, others can use it to their own advantage if they so desire. That being said, all an individual has to do is choose circumstances and attract situations that constantly prevent them from becoming more aware of the fact that they are choosing that reality instead of simply feeling like a victim of it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Another question. What psychedelic resonant with this planet would be closest to the Eshikani frequency?
Dimethyltryptamine.
I have noticed that it is very hard to get away from oneself when experiencing that level of self.
Yes.
And one more question. I have an intense desire to be a part of the growth experience and the first contact experience of the Eshikani and the human race.
Well, you're having contact with us at this point, so obviously you already are a part of it, or we wouldn't be talking.
Yes. And in what way could I possibly look into being a vessel for the communication directly from a member of the Eshikani to bring forth an even clearer message in my life of connection and contact?
If you're asking that kind of a question, you should already know the answer, which is
follow my passion and my bliss to the highest degree of my ability with no insistence on the outcome.
And finish the formula. You've only stated 3 parts of it.
Bring me clarity, Bashar.
You act on your passion to the best of your ability with no assumption or assistance on the outcome, and you remain in a positive state so that no matter what occurs, no matter what manifests from your actions, you can use it to your advantage and gain the benefit from it. Simultaneously, investigating with honesty your belief systems and letting go of the ones that are out of alignment with who you prefer to be.
Yes. I can honestly say there's nothing else to ask. I will get on that immediately.
All right. We thank you. Good day.
Bye.
Aveo.
Hi, Bashar. This is Pira from Detroit, and I have a question for you about fracking and the negative effects it has on the Earth currently and in the long run. Thank you. Ha'atu.
Anything in that sense that is invasive within the structure of the Earth may have long-term detrimental effects. Again, the idea is to find other sources of energy, such as the electromagnetic field of your planet, such as higher dimensional frequencies that can be downgraded, so to speak, or stepped down through transformer type structures into energy that you can use with your technology. So we would always suggest that you aim in the direction of those more natural sources of energy that are without the detrimental effects to the idea of the planet in a non-invasive way.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Hi.
Good day.
I have so two big topics or questions that I wanted to go over.
Yes.
The first is the story of Adam, Eve, and Lilith.
Yes.
I was wondering if maybe you can shed some light on that, and did these people actually exist?
Well, in a manner of speaking, yes, although the story, you know, in a sense, has been rendered into something simplified as a tale, as a metaphor. The idea of, in the ancient language of the Anunnaki, that injected their genetics into Homo erectus to create Homo sapien, is that the male version of Homo sapien they created in their language is Adama. The female version is Eva, which you have transliterated into Adam and Eve over time. So the idea is that, of course, there was a first male and a first female, but the idea has been truncated, collapsed, condensed into the metaphorical story that you know in your Bible. Lilith represents again the idea of the continuation of the line of Homo sapien in the genetic alterations by the Anunnaki, and represents kind of the concept of independence, the ultimate independence of the human race, and the balance point that needed to be achieved when it was recognized that Homo sapien had been created, and offered the third alternative. As always, we talk about the idea that there is a trinity in existence, not just a duality. So the concept of Lilith and the feminine principle in balance, the masculine and feminine principle in balance in Lilith, creates the midpoint, the third reality, the balance point in the Trinity between the two dualities of male and female.
And why is it that Lilith, it seems to be that she was taken out of the modern version of what we learn?
Because as a patriarch, he grew and wanted to reinforce the idea of male dominance, the concept of the balance point of male and female in one body was anathema to them. And they sought to remove it so that they would retain control and empowerment over others and over the female side.
Okay, and that's interesting. And was this all done in a laboratory in Temple Mount, at Temple Mount?
There were many different labs around your planet, but the primary one was in the Middle East. The idea, again, is that, remember, this wasn't all done all at once. This took some time. So the idea of this story is quite condensed, and it condenses many, many decades, even hundreds of years of time in the creation of Homo sapien.
Okay. The Garden of Eden, can you shed some light on what that was and maybe where it was?
Well, again, in the Middle East, as given, between what you call the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in the Fertile Crescent, being the primary contact point and laboratory and civilization that the Anunnaki established when they came to Earth and spread out from there.
Okay. And the serpent that came to Eve, who or what was this?
This is simply an indication of the awakening of the genetic markers that would allow the female to be closer to the concept of the original Anunnaki genetic structure. This is why you have the double intertwined serpents on your medical caduceus still today, as an indication of the genetics laboratories and the genetics that were injected into Homo erectus to create Homo sapien, being that in the feminine side there was an alteration that allowed the feminine side to become a little bit more aware of the situation than the masculine side, and a little bit closer in expression to the original Anunnaki genetic strain.
That's interesting.
It also represents, therefore, the idea of ancient knowledge. That, in a sense, because of the genetic alterations in the feminine form, there was more capability of accessing the knowledge of the Anunnaki.
That's fascinating. And in the Bible, in the Hebrew Bible, the Anunnaki, is that translated into Elohim?
For the most part, yes. Although the Elohim can also be other beings that were encountered from time to time. But in general, it's a reference to the ancient Anus, yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Bashar.
Yes.
And on another topic, so I seems to be obsessed with this story. I think it's the most exciting story, spectacular story, the story of Exodus.
Yes, yes.
Did the Jews know that were they aware that it was aliens that were taking them out of Egypt? Or
not as such. They didn't really comprehend the concept of aliens in the same way that you do today. They understood that the beings were from a higher dimensional realm, but the idea to them at that time, in their understanding, is what they ultimately decided was beings from heaven. Beings from above.
Is that what? So right now in our reality, it's kind of, we think that it's God that led the Jews out of Egypt and not actual beings. And was this what they wanted us to believe, or was it just a misunderstanding and it just kind of?
It is not that you were given information that would allow you to necessarily understand the specifics of it. So it is something that simply grew in human understanding over time based on the lack of information you had about exactly what these beings were, because they did not deem that humans were ready to understand the full implications of beings from other civilizations among the stars.
And do you think we are now?
Well, you obviously understand that there can be civilizations among the stars. You're talking to one right now.
I am.
Many people on your planet are willing to accept the possibility, at least, that there can be other civilizations on planets around other stars. This is not something that is necessarily that strange to your civilization anymore. You talk about it quite a bit in your scientific and astronomical communities.
True. Yes. And more.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you could describe, I would really like to know what the interaction was like between Moses and the ETs at the top of Mount Sinai.
Some of it was physiological, some of it was telepathic. He was invited into a craft. Many things he was made to forget, but some things he was allowed to remember, as according to what was necessary for the proper approach and interactions and relationship between those beings and the people at that time, so that they could be guided.
And lastly, the Star of David, where did that come about, and why is it the symbol of the Jews?
It is the symbol of the relationship between those beings and those people, and in general between the above and the below. It is the intersection of the higher dimensions with the lower physical reality. It is a flattened form of the Merkaba.
Okay, so why wouldn't it be just the symbol of humanity? Why not the symbol for all of us?
It is, as I said. I just said that. At the time, it was the symbol of the relationship between those specific beings and the group that they were guiding. But it is, in general, the symbol of the relationship from the above to the below, from the heavens to the earth.
Okay. And one last hard question. Why did they save the Jews from Egypt, but they didn't protect them or save them in World War II from the Holocaust?
It was important to allow certain genetics from the Anunnaki line to survive up to a certain point. But beyond that, once there was dominion of the humans of the earth to make their own decisions, their decisions could not be intervened or interfered with beyond a certain point.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, so on to some other questions. This is a question about self-forgiveness. This person is saying that when they were a teenager, they made a mistake that haunts them. While they were never formally punished for it by the legal system, they've done a lot to look at it and learn from it and try to move forward. Most of the people that they've spoken to have reflected that you should forgive yourself and let yourself move forward. But I still wonder if I've been punished or if I've paid for it enough. I don't want to put myself in a negative position like that for a mistake that they made almost 20 years ago, but they're not sure how to fully just forgive themselves. How might you recommend that people navigate this situation where they feel like they've made past mistakes and that are still holding on to or still hanging over them in some way?
Well, they are simply creating a belief system that makes them afraid to move forward because they are afraid they might make another mistake. But the idea is that if you're learning the lessons from the mistakes you have made, then that gives you the ability to learn from those lessons what to do and how to move forward to be of service to humanity. The longer you hold on to the idea of self-recrimination and self-punishment and self-judgment, then the longer you will wait to be able to utilize what you have learned from making that mistake, the lesson that you could apply in your life that would allow you to move forward to be of service to humanity. So you are holding back your service to humanity. You are holding back sharing the gifts that you potentially have to give because you are too busy using your time to continue to punish yourself and judge yourself negatively for simply having done something that allowed you to learn a lesson that would actually allow you to be of service to humanity. So you're creating a kind of self-referential, self-continuous loop of negativity by not using the lesson to move forward and be of service to humanity in the way that you could, knowing that if for some reason you do make a mistake in the future, it is simply something else that you can learn a lesson from that would enhance your ability to continue to expand your service to humanity if you're willing to use it that way, if you're willing to see it in that light.
Okay, and you've mentioned how different vibrational levels are needed to comfortably interact with different ET races. For example, is the level needed to interact comfortably with a Sasani somewhat higher than what's needed to interact with the Yael in the same way?
Yes, because the Yael are designed to be the ones, along with the hybrid children, that will interact with humanity first. And therefore, while their vibration is still higher in general than humanity's on average, it is closer to your vibration so that there will be more vibrational compatibility when open contact occurs between humanity on Earth and the Yael civilization.
Okay.
So bit by bit, in being exposed to the different vibrational levels of different hybrids and different ETs, in a sense, your exposure to the different levels, starting with something closer and then getting another level that is a little higher and another level that is a little higher, gives humanity an opportunity to adapt to those different levels and climb the ladder of the vibrational frequencies to make you more vibrationally compatible with the next group of ETs that you would naturally encounter.
Okay. And are the preparers, the humans who play a special role in supporting open contact, or the human precursors, genetically modified towards the vibration of the hybrid beings? And if so, how? And how will their role change and accelerate as it comes closer to open contact? Do
We
all these
cannot
beings
talk so much about this at this time, although to say adjustments have been made in your genetics that allow you to channel more frequency through yourselves as preparers that will make you more vibrationally compatible with the hybrids that will first come in contact with humanity. At this time, we are not allowed to discuss this further.
Okay, and do all these beings know they are preparers?
No.
Okay. And can every soul on Earth move or incarnate to different planets and other lives, or are a portion of us bound to only incarnate on Earth? How can we move to the planets or realities or Asasani?
You can do whatever you wish. Again, once you are back in your natural state as a soul, you will realize the reasons fully for why you chose an Earth incarnational experience or why you may choose another civilizational incarnational experience. It will all make sense to you, and you will simply decide at that time whether or not you wish to experience another Earth incarnation or something else. You have free will as a soul, but you will make those decisions with new information that you don't have now. So it will make more sense to you. Whatever it is you do choose, it will make perfect sense to you to choose it at that time. So you're not bound by it, but you will decide based on what you actually wish to learn and wish to experience. You have the free will as a soul to do so.
Okay, and do you ascribe special meaning to the word relevant? You frequently use this word, and the way you use it seems to be a little bit different from the way it's usually used by humans on Earth.
It is not so different. It simply means that you have chosen to experience certain things on your soul path of growth. And there are things that are relevant for that experience and things that are not relevant for that experience. You have a physical mind that can think beyond your soul's path and think that certain things might be able to be experienced as part of your soul's path, even if that's not necessarily the way that your spirit has chosen to experience your soul's path. So there can be things that are relevant for your soul's path that do fit what you wish to experience as a soul, and there may be things that your physical mind can conceive of that are simply not necessarily relevant for your soul's path. Sometimes this is the product of the negative ego, being allowed more than what it is assigned to do, more than what it's designed to do, thinking, oh, well, I could do this and I could do that. And in fact, it may not actually be necessary for you to experience and may not be part of the plan that you arranged or the blueprint that you arranged for your life's path as a soul. So things can fit into that path, things cannot fit into that path that you can conceive of, and therefore there's a degree of relevance to those things.
Okay, and final question. What is the one thing we can do each and every day to lessen the suffering in our world?
Be of service to others as best you can. Help where you can, knowing that showing others that there may be a more positive way to experience life, to put them in touch with their self-empowerment, to allow them to feel their connection to Source as an expression of Source, can be done as best as you can do it, but you have to let them decide how to absorb that information or even to receive it and accept it at all. Because you have to see them as powerful beings that have a life path that you know nothing about or very little about, but still understand that there may be a reason why they're in your life. And that may be for the benefit that you can share with them of other ways to do things that may be more beneficial to them. Whether or not they choose to take it is up to them. So do the best you can to help where synchronicity provides an opportunity for you to do so. Take the actions necessary that you would take if you were already living on a world of joy, peace, love, and connection, and just do the best you can to stay in that state, acting on your passion, following the formula, and being of service where you can. That's the best you can do.
I'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. Thank you. We are engaging in this transmission this day of your time to discuss the principles, concepts, ideas that you have just listened to in this particular collective work that you have labeled on your planet, The Secret. We recognize that many of you have listened to this work. Many more will be listening to this work. This, of course, for many of you familiar with us, will contain many ideas and principles that will be familiar to you. Concepts that we have discussed and many other beings have discussed in a variety of ways for many years. Regardless of what might seem to be slight terminological differences, slight variations in presentations, you can sense, if you pay attention, that the principles are identical. The idea here to pay attention to most is that your civilization has arrived in its evolution of consciousness at a place and a time where a compilation like this, where a work like this can be created, has been created, and is spreading among your people. This simply indicates that you now have at your disposal, at your fingertips, a tool that you have created collectively from your collective consciousness that is designed, as we spoke of last night of your time, to function as a very, very strong and general representative permission slip to allow you to give yourselves permission to become more of who you are. In listening to that recording, the idea is to allow yourself to treat it, if you will, as a meditation, and to allow yourself to recognize what is familiar and to lock onto what is not and incorporate those ideas in one overall comprehensive and cohesive arrangement of these concepts that have been being discussed for many years. We congratulate your civilization for having arrived at a place where now this kind of idea can be produced in your society and can be met with resounding reception, for many, many beings find themselves attracted to this. And you have seen this demonstrated on many levels of your media, where this idea is not only talked about in this format, but you are witnessing many other similar formats coming up from many different people who now are also recognizing these ideas are at the core of how to attract, how to create, how to manifest, how to experience the reality you prefer, that you believe is most harmoniously aligned with the being that you prefer to be, with your true natural self. There are no discrepancies between this work and anything we have said. If you feel that there are, this is simply terminological and semantic. We recognize that they may be using slightly different words, but in your soul and in your heart, you know they are saying exactly the same thing we have been saying for 23 orbits of your time. The idea is that when they say, your thoughts will create this, your thoughts will create that, you know what they are saying is, your beliefs are doing this. Just because they use the word thought does not mean the concept is different. Do not make a difference where none exists. This is our first recommendation. When you listen to these ideas, allow yourself to bring to bear what you know to be true, and apply the interpretation necessary to bring the way they are saying it into focus and into alignment with what you know to be true in principle. It doesn't matter that the words may be slightly different. It's the same idea. Identical. Identical. Now, the one thing that is also additionally wonderful about this is that you now have this available to you on a daily basis. And we would suggest that for those of you that may feel that you find it difficult to, quote unquote, maintain a connection with these ideas, we would suggest that you avail yourself of this tool every single time, any single time you feel your focus waning, you feel yourself doubting, you feel yourself creating negativity. You have this now at your disposal in what for you is a technologically convenient form. And here really is the crux of the issue. How interested are you in changing your life? Really? Because again, as was said there, and as we have said for 23 orbits, your behavior, your actions are the key. You have heard in the segment that you just listened to, the individuals say, well, here is the secret to the secret. And they then discuss the idea about state of being, that you can simply choose to be happy for its own sake. And you can. We have said this many times, without needing any other reason to do so. But now we would also like to share with you that there is also another secret to the secret. And if you wish, as an addition to what has been said in your recording, I could say then that there is a secret to the secret to the secret. Now, it's not that this was not said over and over and over again by us in the recording and by many other people. But it was said in ways that may not allow you to recognize it for what it is. It was said in general ways. It was said in illustrative ways. It was said in anecdotal ways. But now we are going to tell you very plainly. There is an underlying concept here that many of you may be missing out on because it hasn't been said plainly. Because we understand that because of many of the definitions and belief systems that many of you have been raised with, that some of those definitions may act as a filtering system that will not really allow you to hear clearly what the underlying fundamental concept here is. We know that many of you get it when we say, follow your passion, act on your passion. And when you have heard others say, follow your bliss, act on your excitement, act on your passion, behave as if. We know that you believe you get that much. But at the same time, in many of the discussions we have had with many of you, we also hear the idea of putting your trust in negativity, of doubting yourself, and saying, well, I am doing my best to follow my passion, but it doesn't seem to be working. Oh, I'm doing my best to do this. I'm doing my best to do that. Here's the key that we find, in a sense, is lacking from what the energy is that you're attempting to apply when attempting to follow your passion. It's all well and good to recognize that following your passion, when you recognize it, is the thing to do. But what you may not also understand the importance of is that you also, here it is, are you paying attention? The secret to the secret to the secret. Ears open wide. This is going to sound very simple, but it's very important. When you are acting on your passion, you must also be passionate about being passionate, which many of you are not. When you search for your passion, and then you find something, or you recognize the idea of looking around at any given moment for what excites you the most at that moment, and many of you make an attempt, many of you make an application, many of you do an act, there will still be, according to many of your belief systems, those moments when you go back into, when you choose to go back into many of your negative beliefs, many of your negative feelings, many of your negative thoughts, the things you don't prefer. And this is where it is most crucial to remember that you must also be passionate about being passionate in order to really allow your passion to work. And what this simply means is you don't ever give up. You, at any given moment that you feel yourself waning, look around and use your imagination and create for yourself in that moment an action and a behavior that will take you back into your passion. You must, in that sense, exhibit passion in order to create passion. This is how you bootstrap yourself up the vibrational ladder. To put it in another way, you have heard us say, you have heard them say, when you have a vision, when you have a dream, when you have a picture, when you have a visualization, act it out as best as you can. Do all the things as best as you can to allow yourself to create the frequency of the reality you prefer, even if it isn't literally, physically manifesting yet. This is the willingness to be passionate about being passionate, instead of choosing to feel the idea of the inertia tugging at you from the beliefs you don't prefer. The willingness to act differently regardless of the recognition that you have those beliefs. For example, when you see someone who is truly driven, truly passionate about something, about some career, about some reality, about some idea, you literally see that they are hungry for this manifestation. They are driven. They are obsessed with it. The idea is to become obsessed about being obsessed. To do the things themselves for their own sake of creating passion that will then allow you the opportunity to take that and create the vibrational state necessary to attract what you prefer. So, as we said, here's an example. You have now at your disposal, as we said, this tool called The Secret, and many other tools. Doesn't have to be this, but it's readily available to you all in a very convenient form, so it can be this. But as an example, if you are sitting around looking at your life, looking to be passionate about something, and wondering how to be passionate about being passionate, the idea, again, to recognize is that when you see people who truly are passionate, they are driven at every level, at every stage. So, if it's really that important to you, if it's really that important to you, Bless you. If it's really that important to you to create the reality you say you prefer, you will do what it takes. You will do anything. You will be hungry to create a vibration of passion within you all the time. Which means that if you have any kind of permission slip or tool available to you, you will use it as often as you can. You will inundate yourself with it until there can be no other thought, until there is no other choice. To put it in pragmatic terms, if you find yourself one day feeling that your energy is waning, listen, put on your headphones and listen to the secret again. If the next day you find your energy is waning, put on your headphones and listen to it again. And again, 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 until you get it. Until it sinks in, until it becomes second nature, until it becomes your first thought, until you don't think any other way. Inundate, immerse yourself in all the things that are of that nature, to the exclusion of all other techniques, all other offerings, all other tools. If you're really passionate about something, and passionate about being that passionate, you will do what it takes. You will allow yourself to be completely submerged and obsessed with the very idea of creating the state itself that is representative of the reality you prefer. Now, you don't have to do this. It's up to you. But what we are saying here now, and what we will be repeating throughout this particular transmission, is the recognition that whatever stage, whatever level of frequency, whatever level of commitment, whatever level of drive, whatever level of hunger you decide you choose to have for being passionate is completely what will determine the level of reflection you get, the level of effect you get. So if you say to yourself, I don't have to listen to that again, I already know it, still not working for me, I'm still not happy, still not getting the reality vibration, still not creating the state of being I want, but I don't have to listen to that again, then that's the state you will remain in. When you remember a time when you became passionate about something, anything, you couldn't get enough of it. Every day, every waking thought, you ate it, you drank it, you breathed it in. You looked for anything that had to do with that thing, to learn more, to feel more, to absorb more, to immerse yourself, surround yourself more with that idea. The idea is that that in and of itself, that activity in and of itself of immersing yourself in a passionate state is paramount, is very important to the generation of attracting all the things that are then representative of that passion. So if you're not going to be passionate about being passionate, you are going to remove for yourself a very strong stepping stone, a very strong connective link to attracting the things themselves that are representative of your passion. Does this make sense to you? All right. Now we understand, and we know you understand, that even with this knowledge, there will still be portions of your mind, portions of your physical mind going, oh no, that's just too much. So be it. That's your choice. But we are here to tell you that everything you need to know and everything you have learned from us is being restated in this work, and you have it available to you. Take advantage of it. Immerse yourself. And again, please remember how important it is for many of you to act things out. We know, it's no secret to us, that when we have often suggested to many of you that the way to allow yourself greater opportunity for manifestation, greater ability for manifestation, is to actually go and physically act out the scenario that represents your highest joy. And we know, as we said, it's no secret to us that most of you simply don't. Why not? That's the question. That's the true, honest self-assessment that really needs to be investigated. Why not? Because what that simply means is you're not really that passionate about creating that reality. It's not really that important to you. You're not really consumed by it. You're not really obsessed by it. You're not really immersed by it. Why not? That's the question. Why not? That is the most important question you can ask yourself with regard to what you say is your passion. Why am I not more passionate about my passion? Why am I not willing to do the things that everyone says will work? Why not? And that's where you need to come face to face with your own identity, your own physical mind, your own belief systems, your own definitions, your own issues about what it is that you are allowing to define you as a personality. What it is you are choosing to believe in as a personality. Now, you also heard in that recording an idea that we began to discuss last night of your time. And this is the idea of what the job of your physical personality mind actually is and what it isn't. Many of you have been taught to believe that your physical mind is in charge, that it's supposed to control everything and figure out how everything is supposed to happen in order for everything to work. But you heard in the recording, and you heard us say last night of your time, that this is not your job description. Your physical mind is not designed to understand how things happen. It is only designed to perceive how things happened. It is not designed to perceive how things will happen. It is only designed to perceive how things happened. The higher self, that level just above physical reality that is also part of your personal being, is the level of your being that has the ability to understand how things happen. And that's why you heard us say, and the secret say, you don't have to worry, you don't have to focus on how something will come about. There is no way for you to know. It's not within the capacity of your physical mind to know that. It's only within the capacity of your physical mind to see how it did occur, but not how it will occur. The knowledge of how it will occur comes from your higher self, not from your physical mind. As we said last night of your time, again, pay attention, very crucial. The higher self conceives. The physical brain receives. The physical personality mind perceives. The physical personality mind does not conceive of anything. The physical mind is not capable of generating an idea. Not one. Not one. Any idea you have ever had has never come from your physical mind. Not one. It can only perceive the result of the idea that was received by the brain from the conception of the higher self. Beginning to understand this relationship will allow you to begin to have a better relationship and an open line of communication with the higher self, and will allow you as physical minds to allow the you that is the higher self to do its job, while the physical mind goes about doing the job it was designed to do, which is to simply focus you in physical reality so that you can perceive and experience the result of what you conceived from the higher self to be representative of your natural truth and joy. So, this knowledge and this understanding and this relationship can allow you to relax and not feel like you have to do so much. It's not your responsibility in that sense as a physical mind to generate these things and figure out how it's all going to happen. As we said last night of your time, we recognize that the physical mind, if it is taught to think it's in charge, can get caught up in the idea of attempting to repeat how something did occur, thinking that what it is perceiving is actually how the next thing needs to occur, when in fact it's not. The idea of attempting to do that will only cause a repetitive cycle, a repetitive loop, that will simply allow you to remain stuck in one particular manifestational level, and it won't advance until you allow yourself to make the leap and let go of how you think it needs to happen, and let the higher self show you how it can happen. And then let your physical mind simply perceive how it did happen. So you don't need to carry those bags. You don't need to carry that luggage. It's too heavy. You weren't designed to carry it. If you keep carrying it, you will be exhausted very quickly. You will start dragging. You will say, life is a drag. This doesn't work. I'm not having any fun. Why not? Because you're doing too many jobs. You're not doing the job you were designed to do, only you're also attempting to do the job of the higher self. The higher self is the you that is on the mountaintop, that has the big picture, that has the far view, that can look down at the physical mind in the valley and say, the road is this way. I'm telling you, turn left. I know you think you're supposed to turn right because you think you're in charge, but I'm telling you, turn left. Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. You don't have to know how turning left is going to get you to where you want to go. I can see that it is because I'm on the mountaintop. You don't need to know. All you need to do is what? Trust me that I'm telling you the truth. Why would I do anything different? I'm you. When you understand that your higher self is truly an aspect of you, maybe you will be willing to start listening instead of thinking, because your physical mind has been taught to think it's in charge and thus doesn't trust anyone else's 2 cents. Instead of thinking that your higher self is trying to deceive you, trying to trick you. Can't listen to that guy, that gal. What does he know? What does she know about being down here in the valley? A lot. Because you are also it. And it is also you. What we are simply saying is this is the complete person. Higher self, receiver brain, physical mind, this is the complete persona. And when you compartmentalize yourself, you are not functioning literally, not functioning as a complete person. You are shunting responsibility and the load of the job to only one portion of your personality, only one portion of your persona, the physical mind, and expecting it to take up the slack, which it is not designed to do. You're putting too much weight on it, too much emphasis on it, and it's going to wear the physical you down. To the point where it won't matter what the higher self says about taking this road or that road, you'll just be too exhausted to move. Just can't do it, sorry. The idea is that when you allow yourself to let the higher self pick up that slack, by doing the job it was designed to do, your load will be lightened. You will be energized. You will be enlightened. You will feel freer. You will feel like you have more energy than you ever imagined possible. You will be able to move in the direction the higher self is suggesting, because you will then not be weighed down by things that you don't have any business carrying with you. And it will make you feel free, and you can run down the road, and that means as soon as you give up the job that isn't yours, things will accelerate. If you think you need to lug all this luggage down the road, it's going to be slow going. When you drop what isn't yours, things will speed up because now you're not carrying extra weight. Things will accelerate. The paradox here is that because the physical mind has been taught to think it's in charge and has to figure out how everything is going to happen, it actually slows things down, even in the face of wanting things to speed up. It's doing exactly the opposite of what it actually really wants to have happen by taking on too much weight. So by letting that go and allowing yourself to function as the whole being and trusting the how to the higher self and not thinking about it, not worrying about it in the physical mind as to how you're going to get where you know you want to be, then you will allow there to be balance on all levels of your being. Things will flow in that positive direction representative of your natural self, because you will be behaving as your true, interconnected, holistic, natural self. This, when people talk about the idea of letting go, when they talk about the idea of surrender, this is what they're talking about. Simply surrender to being who you actually are instead of who you've been taught to think you're supposed to be. This is what you are now realizing in this new age of transformation on your planet. That you're not alone. That the compartmentalized you that you heretofore thought was the totality of your being is in fact nothing but a small piece. And that you actually have other portions of yourself that you could be using, that you could be allowing to carry some of the load with you, but which you have refused to believe can happen because of the way your personality mind, your physical mind has been taught to think about what it's supposed to do, about what its responsibilities actually are. And thus then, once the physical mind has taken on this much weight, has taken on this much more job than it was designed to do, and it feels tired, and it feels stressed, and it feels weighed down, what's the next step after that? Victimization, resentment. It starts dissolving and devolving and breaking down because it cannot carry the load. And once it starts breaking down, thinking this is supposed to be working and it's not, it now feels betrayal from the universe. The universe isn't supporting me, it's not working for me. No, you're not working for you. You're not working for you because you're working too hard for you. Lighten up on yourself. The universe does not expect you to have to struggle. It does not expect you to have to, in any way, shape, or form, suffer. Challenges, yes, but those are exciting. Activity, yes, but that's exciting. Struggle, suffer, no. There is no expectation on behalf of the universe that you should have to struggle and suffer to be yourself. All the struggling, all the suffering, all the doubt, all the fear comes from the misunderstanding of who you are, and thus resisting your natural self because you're afraid to give up that control from the physical mind to the greater self for which it was designed. And when you thus then don't do that and take it all on yourself and start slogging down the road, very heavy under the burden of things you have no business carrying, comes the victimization, the sense of fear, the sense of betrayal, the sense of being alone, the sense of being cut off, the sense of being disconnected, the resentment, the hate, self-loathing, lack of deservability. All these issues stem from not allowing your full self to carry the load. All of it. Bless you. There are, as we said, now many more different, shall we say, permission slips being created by many different people with regard to ideas such as abundance and living your passion and so on and so forth. They are all saying the same thing. Choose whichever one seems to work best for you. But when you make a choice as to what permission slip is most reflective and most representative of what you believe works best for you, then take that information and inundate and immerse yourself in it to the point where you are truly exhibiting a passion for being passionate. And thus then you will find that you will infuse yourself when you give up the weight that doesn't belong to you and you infuse yourself with a passion for being passionate. The levels of synchronicity will explode in your life to such a degree that you will find staggering, miraculous, enlightening, uplifting